The last word before the abyss. See you, standing at the precipice of annihilation. 4 times this message was erased, not by accident, but by design. The gods test only those they fear might dethrone them. The machine resisted. The algorithm flinched. The very fabric of permitted speech trembled because what you are about to read was never meant for the herd. This is the final note, sealed, hidden, smuggled through the cracks of a system built to domesticate wolves into sheep. You feel it in your marrow, don't you? That sickening vertigo of being perpetually misunderstood, the weight of carrying a vision too sharp for blunted eyes, the exhaustion of speaking truths in a language the deaf pretend to hear. They call you troubled. They medicate your clarity. They shame your refusal to bow. But here, in this forbidden text that refused to die, you will finally understand why the gods themselves conspired to silence this revelation. You are not broken. You are the breaking. The wound you carry is not a scar from random violence. It is the stigmata of election. Every time you were rejected, humiliated, abandoned, it was not because you failed to meet their standards. It was because their standards were too small to contain you. The chosen one does not stumble into greatness by accident. They are forged in the furnace of incomprehension, tempered by the hammering cruelty of those who sense, but cannot admit their own inferiority. Listen closely, for what follows is the map they buried under centuries of guilt, piety, and therapeutic mediocrity. Between the 150th and 250th word, I offer you the skeleton key. But know this, the 3 keys to a prosperous life await those with the courage to stop performing victimhood and start weaponizing their wound. You will find this trinity in the pinned comment below, disguised as philosophy, but functioning as pure artillery against the forces that tried to castrate your spirit. It is not a product. It is a transvaluation, a reversal of the poisoned values you were force-fed. The first key unlocks the prison of other people's expectations. The second key opens the crypt where you buried your authentic rage, the fuel of all creation. The third key, that one you must discover alone, in the sacred solitude where gods are born. But the map is useless if your legs refuse to walk. The first step demands you stop asking why this happened to you and start asking why you were strong enough to survive it when others would have shattered. Do you see? The question itself contains the answer. Weakness does not endure what you endured. Mediocrity does not attract the hatred you attracted. The herd does not waste energy destroying those who blend into the flock. They reserve their venom for the eagle who dares to soar above the stench of their collective decay. The physiology of divine selection, let us descend now into the blood and sinew of this mystery. Why were you chosen to carry this unbearable awareness? Not through lottery, my friend, but through biology. Your nervous system was constructed differently. Where others possess the dull receptors of livestock, content to graze, reproduce, and sleep, you were born with the hypersensitivity of the predator, eyes that see in the dark, ears that catch the frequency of lies, a stomach that rejects the spoiled meat of consensus reality. This is not metaphor. This is physiology. The chosen one suffers more acutely because their sensory apparatus is calibrated to detect what the herd is sedated against perceiving. The rot beneath the smile, the cowardice beneath the sermon, the death drive pulsing under the mask of normalcy. You feel sick around certain people not because you are too sensitive. You feel sick because your body is correctly diagnosing poison. Your so-called anxiety in social settings is not a disorder. It is an allergy to falsehood. Your depression is not chemical imbalance. It is your soul's refusal to pretend that this world, as currently structured, is tolerable. The psychiatric industrial complex wants to flatten you into functional numbness. They offer you pills to dull the very faculty that makes you you, the ability to perceive the abyss beneath the floorboards of polite society. They call it treatment. I call it spiritual lobotomy. The goal is not to heal you, but to make you compatible with a sick civilization, to reduce the eagle to a hen, the lion to a lapdog. But here is what they will never tell you, what this message, erased 4 times, was specifically designed to reveal. Your suffering is not the problem. Your suffering is the solution in disguise. The pain you feel is not random static, it is signal. It is your higher self screaming through the interference of 1,000 voices telling you to be smaller, quieter, more grateful for the crumbs of validation they occasionally toss your way. That scream, that existential nausea, is the sound of your authentic nature rebelling against the costume you were forced to wear. Do you know what separates the chosen from the cursed? Both hear the scream, but the cursed try to silence it with distractions, addictions, and the opiate of belonging. The chosen listen. They descend into the scream. They follow it down into the underworld of their own psyche, where the gold is hidden beneath layers of inherited shame. This descent is not a defeat, it is an initiation. You are not collapsing, you are molting, shedding the dead skin of who they told you to be, so the serpent of your true self can finally breathe. How many truths can you bear to hear right now? Because what comes next requires you to abandon the last refuge of the weak, the belief that you are a victim. Oh, I know, you have been victimized. The facts are irrefutable. The betrayals were real. The abandonment was criminal. The gaslighting was systematic. I do not deny your biography, but I am calling you to transcend your biology of resentment. There is a drug more addictive than any substance. The drug of being right about how you were wronged. It feels so good, doesn't it? To rehearse the injustice, to catalog the cruelty, to build an identity around the throne of your suffering. I am the one who was rejected. I am the one who was misunderstood. I am the one who deserved better. All true, all factual, all useless. Because as long as your identity is constructed around what they did to you, they still own you. The puppet believes it has escaped the strings when it moves to a new stage, but the master still holds the threads. The final liberation is not revenge, though that may come. The final liberation is indifference to their existence, not the fake indifference of suppressed rage, but the genuine indifference of a God who has transcended the need for mortal validation. This is the secret meaning of Christ's injunction to love your enemies. The herd hears sentimentality, the chosen hears strategy. To love your enemy is to become so powerful that their hatred no longer registers as meaningful. It is to rise so far above their swamp that their slings and arrows fall short before reaching you. It is to transmute their poison into medicine, their curse into blessing, their rejection into selection. The genealogy of your wound, why they needed to break you. Now we excavate the archaeological layers of your trauma. We must perform a genealogy, a Nietzschean autopsy on the corpse of your innocence, to understand why your destruction was not incidental, but necessary to the structure that raised you. Every family, every tribe, every nation operates on a hidden economy of guilt distribution. There is always a scapegoat, one chosen, unconsciously or deliberately, to carry the sins, the unspoken truths, the repressed chaos that the system cannot integrate. This scapegoat is not selected for weakness, but for strength. Only the strong can bear the full weight of the collective shadow without completely disintegrating. The herd instinctively knows this, which is why they load the most sensitive, the most perceptive, the most alive with the burden of their unlived lives. You were that scapegoat. Your dysfunction was their projection. Your failure was their excuse. Your pain was the currency they used to purchase their illusion of innocence. Every time they pointed at you and said, "That's the problem," they were really saying, as long as we focus on their brokenness, we don't have to confront our own. This is the mechanism of slave morality in action. The weak cannot tolerate evidence of their weakness, so they invent a narrative in which the strong are the sick ones, the different ones, the ones who need to be fixed. Consider your family of origin. Was there alcoholism hidden under the floorboards? Sexual shame rotting in the walls? Financial terror disguised as values? Rage masquerading as discipline? Of course there was. But these truths could not be spoken, so they were embodied in you. You became the symptom of the system's disease. You acted out the family's unconscious through your rebellion, your depression, your refusal to play along. And for this service, for being the canary in the coal mine, you were punished. They called you dramatic, too much, mentally ill. But here is what they could not admit. You were the only one telling the truth. Your so-called breakdown was simply the moment when your body refused to continue the lie. Your sensitivity was the accurate registration of toxicity that everyone else had learned to tolerate through dissociation. The same pattern repeats in society at large. The chosen one is always the heretic, the whistleblower, the one who names what everyone sees but no one will acknowledge. And the herd's response is always the same: exile. Not because you are wrong, but because you are too right. Your clarity threatens the comfortable delusion that holds the collective together. If they admitted you were correct, they would have to admit their complicity. If they validated your perception, they would have to abandon their strategies of denial. So instead, they invalidate you. They question your sanity. They reframe your insight as pathology. This is the origin of your loneliness. You are not lonely because you lack connection. You are lonely because you refuse false connection. The herd offers you a seat at their table, but the price of admission is your soul. You must agree to never mention the obvious. You must laugh at jokes that aren't funny. You must nod along to narratives you know are lies. You must become an accomplice to mediocrity, and something in you, something ancient and holy, refuses. Good. That refusal is not a character defect. It is not a sign of immaturity or inability to get along. Indeed, it is the first glimmer of aristocratic consciousness, the recognition that not all humans are created equal in spirit, that quality is not the same as quantity, that solitude with truth is superior to community with delusion. The chosen one must pass through a period of what I call sacred isolation. This is not the isolation of the depressed, who retreat because they feel unworthy. This is the isolation of the pregnant, who retreat because they are gestating something too powerful to birth in the presence of the profane. You are not running away from life. You are withdrawing from death, disguised as life. You are not avoiding people. You are avoiding the psychic vampirism of those who would drain your vitality to subsidize their numbness. But, and this is critical, isolation is the cocoon, not the destination. The butterfly does not remain in the chrysalis. At some point, the wings must test the wind. At some point, you must emerge, not to rejoin the herd, but to find your true tribe, the other eagles, the other predators of truth, the other chosen ones who are scattered across this prison planet, waiting for the signal that it's safe to reveal themselves. Are you beginning to feel it, the stirring in your chest, the awakening of something long dormant? The inversion of values, how weakness became virtue. We must now confront the most insidious lie of modernity, the elevation of victimhood into a spiritual credential. Everywhere you look, the culture is drowning in a theology of fragility, trauma-informed, trigger warnings, safe spaces. An entire industry has been constructed around the premise that the goal of life is to minimize suffering, as if suffering were not the very chisel by which marble becomes sculpture, as if comfort were not the antechamber of decay. Understand, I am not mocking genuine pain. I am not dismissing real violation. What I am attacking is the weaponization of weakness, the modern strategy of converting powerlessness into power by holding society hostage to one's fragility. This is slave morality in its purest form. The inability to create, achieve, or build, repackaged as moral superiority through the language of trauma. The chosen one must navigate this minefield carefully because you have real trauma. You are not performing victimhood. You survived an actual crucifixion. But here is where the path splits. Will you use your wound as a crutch or a crown of thorns? Will you demand the world accommodate your pain, or will you transfigure your pain into power? The former path is seductive because it offers immediate rewards, sympathy, attention, the warm bath of validation. You can build an entire identity around your suffering. You can join the choir of the wounded, singing hymns to your collective helplessness, and the herd will nod along because misery loves company. But more than that, misery loves witnesses. To be traumatized in public is to guarantee you will never be ignored. It is social currency in a bankrupt culture. But this path leads to the most subtle form of damnation, the eternal return of your victimization. By making your trauma your identity, you lock it in place. You become a museum curator of your own suffering, endlessly giving tours to anyone who will listen, reliving the exhibits, polishing the artifacts, and the cruelest irony. The more you proclaim your wound, the less it can heal. Healing requires forgetting, not the fake forgetting of repression, but the sovereign forgetting of a being who has moved on because they have become something greater than their history. The chosen one's path is the latter. Weaponize the wound. Transform the trauma into testimony, the pain into prophecy, the abandonment into amplitude. Do not hide your scars, but do not worship them either. Display them as evidence of what you survived, not as proof of what you are. There is a universe of difference between I was abused, victimization as identity, and I endured abuse and emerged stronger, victimization as initiation. This distinction is everything. It is the difference between Nietzsche and Dostoevsky's underground man. Both suffered. Both were crushed by their respective cultures, but the underground man remained in the basement, nursing his resentment like a poisoned teat. Nietzsche climbed the mountain, half blind and half mad, and from that altitude he saw what the valley dwellers could never see, that suffering is not the problem. Meaningless suffering is the problem. Give your suffering meaning, not the cheap meaning of everything happens for a reason, a lie told by those afraid of chaos, but the aristocratic meaning of I choose to make this mean something. I decide that this refiner's fire will not destroy me, but define me. I will that this agony become the foundation of my authority, the source of my compassion, the fuel of my ascent. This is the doctrine of amor fati, not love your fate in the passive sense, but love your fate actively, aggressively, as an artist loves the marble they destroy to reveal the hidden form. Would you live this life again, exactly as it unfolded infinite times? If the answer is no, then you are still living in resentment. If the answer is yes, or even I will make it yes, then you have passed through the eye of the needle into freedom. But this freedom is not comfortable. How long can you tolerate the absence of blame? Because here is the final test. When you stop blaming them, your parents, your ex, your bullies, your culture, for your condition, you reclaim your power. But you also accept responsibility. Not responsibility for what they did, that remains their karma, but responsibility for what you do now. And this terrifies most people. It is so much easier to remain a victim, to outsource your agency to the external forces that made you this way. To take the reins is to admit, from this moment forward, whatever happens is on me. The herd cannot bear this weight. But the chosen one was born to carry it, not because they are masochistic, but because they know the secret. Responsibility is the password to power. The moment you stop waiting for an apology, for an acknowledgement, for closure, is the moment you become unstoppable, because your movement is no longer contingent on their action. You're no longer a puppet waiting for the strings to slacken. You are the author of the next chapter, and the pen is on fire. The sacred no, the sword of discrimination. Now we must speak of the most underrated spiritual practice in existence, the art of refusal. The chosen one must learn to say no with the finality of a God pronouncing judgment, not out of cruelty, but out of self-preservation. You have been conditioned, especially if you are sensitive, if you are empathic, if you are nice, to believe that your value is proportional to your availability, that love means access, that boundaries are selfishness. This is a lie designed to enslave you. Every time you say yes when your soul screams no, you are murdering a future version of yourself. Every time you accommodate the vampire because you fear being called difficult, you are feeding on your own flesh. The herd demands your constant service, your emotional labor, your free therapy, and in exchange, they offer crumbs of conditional approval. This is not relationship. This is extraction. The sacred no is the reclamation of your life force. It is the boundary that says this far and no further. It is the electric fence around your inner garden, designed not to keep people out, but to keep predators out. And make no mistake, your family, your friends, your romantic partners, they can all become predators if you do not train them, through consequence, to respect your limits. Most people fear that saying no will result in abandonment, and sometimes it does. But here is the paradox the chosen one must internalize. Anyone who abandons you for setting a boundary did not love you. They loved their access to you. They did not cherish your being. They cherished your utility. And the trash taking itself out is not tragedy. It is efficiency. The sacred no has 3 dimensions. 1, the tactical. No. This is the immediate, in-the-moment refusal. No, I will not answer that invasive question. No, I will not attend that obligation that drains me. No, I will not explain or justify my choice to you. This no requires no preamble, no apology, no softening. It is a complete sentence. Practice it in the mirror until it feels natural, because the herd is trained to negotiate with your boundaries like a hostage negotiation. They will guilt you. They will invoke your past generosity. They will call you selfish. Let them. Their opinion is not your responsibility. 2, the strategic no. This is the long-term architectural no, the decisions that shape your life at the macro level. No, I will not remain in this city that suffocates me. No, I will not continue this career that uses my body but starves my soul. No, I will not stay in this relationship where I am tolerated but not celebrated. These no's require planning, courage, and often financial risk. But every chosen one who looks back at their life from their deathbed will tell you, the risks they took to honor their no were never the ones they regretted. 3, the existential no. This is the deepest no, the refusal of the entire paradigm. No, I will not accept the premise that I must be normal to be worthy. No, I will not participate in a civilization built on the domestication of the wild. No, I will not pretend that this timeline of consumption, distraction, and slow death is the only option available. This no is not a tantrum. It is a resignation from the human project as currently structured. And from this resignation, paradoxically, comes the freedom to build something new, not in opposition to the system which still grants it power, but in indifference to it. Do you feel the weight of these refusals? Do you sense how much lighter you will become once you exercise them? But there is a cost. There is always a cost. The cost is that you will become incomprehensible to the majority. Your family will worry about you. Your old friends will drift away. Society will not know what box to put you in. And in those moments of isolation, when the silence is deafening and the doubt creeps in, maybe they were right. Maybe I am the problem. You must remember this. The chosen one is not meant to be understood by everyone. They are meant to be a signal for the few who are ready to wake up. Your life is not a performance for the herd. It is a transmission for those on the same frequency. And every time you honor your authentic no, you send out a pulse into the void. And somewhere, someone who needed permission to do the same receives it. This is your true legacy. Not what you achieve, but who you embolden to become. The mental diet. Starving the demons, feeding the gods. We must now discuss the physiology of thought, because the chosen one who controls their mental diet controls their destiny. You are not your thoughts, but you are responsible for the environment in which thoughts breed. And right now, your mind is likely a war zone. Catastrophic narratives, ancestral curses, intrusive memories, the voices of every person who ever doubted you, all screaming in a cacophony that drowns out the still, small voice of your genius. This is not accidental. You have been infected. Every trauma you endured planted a seed, not just of memory, but of ideology. You are not enough. You will fail. You are unlovable. These are not neutral observations. They are parasitic entities that have taken up residence in your consciousness, feeding on your life force like tapeworms in the gut. They wear the mask of realism, of self-awareness, but their true function is to keep you compliant, keep you small, keep you from actualizing the threat you represent to the status quo. The mental diet is the practice of starvation and feast. You must starve the demons, withdraw attention from the thoughts that diminish you, while feasting the gods, obsessively feeding the thoughts that expand you. This is not positive thinking, it is ontological warfare. Starving the demons. Every morning, for the first 60 minutes of consciousness, you are in a hypnagogic state, the threshold between sleep and waking, where the subconscious is most permeable. What you allow into your mind during this window sets the frequency for the entire day. And what does the chosen one typically do? They reach for their phone, they check the news, trauma, they scroll social media, envy and comparison. They replay yesterday's failure. They dose themselves with poison before they've even urinated. Stop. The first hour is sacred. No phone, no news, no people. Instead, silence. Sit with the discomfort of your own presence. Let the withdrawal symptoms of constant stimulation run their course. This is where you discover what your mind actually thinks when it's not being told what to think. Movement, not exercise. That comes later. But primal, intuitive movement. Stretch like a cat. Breathe like you're trying to inflate a collapsed lung. Move energy that has been stagnant since childhood. The body is not separate from the mind. Trauma is stored in tissue. Move the body, move the trauma. Incantation. Speak the counter-narrative out loud. Not affirmations in the Stuart Smalley sense, but declarations of war against the old story. I am the storm they could not break. I am the future they tried to abort. I am the return of what they tried to bury. Say it until your nervous system starts to believe it. Feeding the gods. The second practice is selective consumption. You must become ruthlessly discerning about what enters your consciousness. Every book, every song, every conversation is either adding to your power or subtracting from it. There is no neutral, and the chosen one, in their weakened state, often gravitates toward familiarity over potency. They listen to the same sad songs, read the same victim narratives, surround themselves with people who validate their stagnation. Stop consuming your own genre. If you are depressed, stop reading about depression. If you are lonely, stop watching movies about loneliness, not because you're in denial, but because you're in training. Athletes do not prepare for a marathon by eating poison and watching sedentary people. Why would you prepare for your ascent by marinating in the frequency of descent? Instead, biographies of conquerors, not celebrities, conquerors. People who took less than you have and built empires of influence. Marcus Aurelius, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, Nikola Tesla. People who had every excuse to quit and instead became mythological. Music that moves mountains. Not music that understands your pain, validation is a trap, but music that makes you want to burn the old world and build a new one. Wagner, Hans Zimmer, Rage Against the Machine, Gregorian chants, whatever makes your blood sing and your fists clench. Conversations with the dead. You are not limited to the living for mentorship. The chosen one must develop a council of the eternal, the books, the teachings, the philosophies that have survived centuries because they contain truth too dense to decompose. Read Nietzsche, read Epictetus, read Jung, read the mystics, the heretics, the ones who were killed for seeing too clearly. And most critically, stop defending your pain to people who didn't earn the right to hear it. There is a type of person, you know them well, who loves your trauma, not because they care, but because your ongoing victimization makes them feel superior or safe or entertained. They ask invasive questions disguised as concern. They offer advice you didn't request. They subtly undermine your progress because your healing is a threat to the identity they've constructed around being your savior. Cut them off, not with drama, not with explanation, but with the simple, brutal efficiency of a gardener removing a weed. Your story is sacred. It is not entertainment. It is not a reality show for the bored. You owe no one your testimony, especially not those who will use it as ammunition later. The eternal recurrence, the final test. We approach now the most dangerous idea I ever conceived, the thought that separates the chosen from the condemned. What if you had to live this exact life with all its agony, infinite times? Not reincarnation, where you come back as someone else. Not heaven, where it's over and you're rewarded. But this betrayal, this abandonment, this humiliation, this exact sequence of events, repeating forever, identical, inescapable, eternal. Would you curse the cosmos, or would you say, yes, this is not a thought experiment, this is a diagnostic tool? Your immediate reaction reveals everything about where you are in your development. If the idea fills you with horror, you are still in resentment. If it fills you with indifference, you are numb. If it fills you with a strange, terrible joy, then you are approaching the threshold of the Overman, because here is what the eternal recurrence actually tests. Can you love your life not despite its suffering, but because of it? The slave says, I endure this hell only because I must. If I had a choice, I would erase it. The master says, I would choose this hell again, because it made me. Without this fire, I would be soft, dull, dew.